Scott Summers didn't become Cyclops by ambition. He was defined by loss, separation, and the kind of pain that turn a survivor into a symbol. His story begins in X-Men Origins, Cyclops issue 1 in January 2010. Scott and his younger brother Alex are flying with their parents when a Shi'ar vessel attacks the plane. In a desperate act of love, their mother straps both boys into a single parachute and pushes them out. During the fall, Scott suffers a head injury, one that prevents him from ever controlling his optic blasts on his own. After the crash, Scott ends up in an orphanage. That's where his mutant power first erupts. Confused and terrified, Scott unleashes his optic blast for the first time, demolishing part of the building. That moment marks the beginning of a life where control is never an option, only responsibility. More of his early trauma is revealed in X Factor issue 39 in April 1989. Where it's discovered that the orphanage Scott grew up in was secretly run by Mr. Sinister. For years, Sinister experimented on him, manipulating events from the shadows. Scott never had a childhood, only conditioning. Scott is eventually taken in by Professor Charles Xavier, who recognizes not just the power in the boy, but the potential. In X-Men issue 1, 1963, Cyclops joins the very first mission alongside his teammates, Jean Grey, Beast, Iceman, and Angel, to stop the powerful mutant Magneto. Though young and still learning, Scott's leadership and strategic mind begin to show as the team faces Magneto's magnetic powers. This battle sets the tone for the X-Men's mission, to use their unique abilities to protect a world that fears them. In Uncanny X-Men issue 135 in July 1980, Jean Grey loses control of the Phoenix Force and becomes the Dark Phoenix. That pivotal moment is reprinted in Classic X-Men issue 41 in December 1989. Cyclops watches helplessly as the woman he loves turns into a galactic threat, destroys a star system, and is ultimately sentenced to death. This loss defines Scott. He walks away from the X-Men, shattered, questioning everything he believed in. Years later, in X-Men issue 97 in February 2000, Cyclops sacrifices himself during the 12 saga by merging with Apocalypse to stop his rise. It's an act of ultimate selflessness, one that costs him his identity. That leads directly into X-Men: The Search for Cyclops, a 4-issue miniseries released from October 2000 to January 2001. Jean Grey and Cable track him down. Physically alive, but mentally fractured, Scott returns from the merge with Apocalypse as a darker, emotionally distant man. He's no longer just Xavier's student, he's someone willing to defy him. Scott's rivalry with Wolverine is iconic. It's not just about who leads, it's about how. Cyclops believes in discipline. Logan believes in instinct. That clash reaches its breaking point in X-Men: Schism issue 5 in October 2011. When Scott decides to train child mutants for combat, believing survival requires sacrifice. Logan walks away. Their split fractures the entire mutant community. But Scott's greatest test as a commander comes in X-Men: Second Coming issue 1 in March 2010. With mutant kind on the verge of extinction, Cyclops leads a war to protect Hope Summers, the last hope for the species. He coordinates teams across the globe with brutal efficiency. His tactics are cold, calculated, and they work. He saves the future of mutant kind without flinching. In Avengers vs. X-Men issue 11 in October 2012, Cyclops reaches both his peak and his downfall. Possessed by the Phoenix Force, he becomes corrupted by power. In a devastating moment, he kills Professor Xavier, believing Charles has lost faith in mutant survival. It's a fall from grace, but also a bitter reflection of how far he's willing to go to protect his people. In Uncanny X-Men issue 600 in November 2015, Beast confronts Scott about the chaos he's caused. But Cyclops reveals that his actions were aimed at uniting humans and mutants peacefully. Not everyone believes him. In Death of X issue 4, December 2016, he dies while negotiating with the Inhumans over the Terrigen Mists, which are killing mutants. The world sees him as a terrorist, but among mutants he becomes a martyr. Then comes his resurrection. In Uncanny X-Men Annual issue 1 in 2019, it's revealed that Cyclops was brought back to life through a combination of Phoenix energy and intervention from the younger Cable. before Krakoa's official resurrection protocols were ever created. With the world believing the X-Men are dead, Scott rises from obscurity and begins rebuilding. He makes a choice: to lead again, not out of duty, but conviction. In House of X issue 1 in July 2019, Cyclops officially returns to the mutant nation of Krakoa. No longer just a leader, he is seen leading the charge in the creation of the new mutant nation. He confronts the Fantastic Four, demonstrating his dedication to the new mutant nation and his willingness to defend it, even against former allies. One of his most intense modern battles happens in X-Men issue 14 Judgment Day, 2022. Cyclops and Magic attempt to deal with the immediate threat of solar flares caused by an alien threat. With the help of Iceman and the rest of the X-Men, they managed to stop it, but another threat remained. The Progenitor, a giant celestial entity, prepares to judge Cyclops. But he asserts his right to be judged by only his teammates, and the Progenitor ultimately gives him a positive judgment. Beyond the comics, Cyclops has made multiple appearances on the big screen. Though fans have long debated whether the films ever gave him the depth and spotlight he truly deserved. James Marsden first brought Scott Summers to life in X-Men, 2000, X2, X-Men United, 2003, and X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006. From the start, Marsden's Cyclops was portrayed as the loyal field leader of the X-Men and the devoted partner of Jean Grey. His dynamic with Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, mirrored their comic book rivalry, strategic discipline clashing with raw instinct. But while Cyclops was often shown as a capable and principled leader, the films gave limited focus to his emotional weight and inner conflict. His screen time dwindled in later entries, and his abrupt death in The Last Stand left fans frustrated, feeling that one of the X-Men's most important characters had been sidelined. Marsden would briefly return in X-Men: Days of Future Past, 2014, appearing in a revised timeline epilogue that gave fans a glimpse of a happier ending, one where Scott lives and the original team remains intact. It was a welcome moment, but far too short to explore his character in full. A younger Cyclops was reintroduced in X-Men Apocalypse, 2016, this time played by Ty Sheridan. This version explored Scott's origin as a troubled teenager who first discovers his optic blasts while in high school. We see him struggle with fear, uncertainty, and the burden of a power he can't control, much closer to the emotional roots of the character. Under the guidance of Professor Xavier, he begins to grow into a leader, developing a bond with Jean Grey that echoes the comics. Sheridan reprised the role in Dark Phoenix, 2019, which attempted to retell the classic Phoenix saga. While the film received mixed reviews, it offered Cyclops a more active role, showing his loyalty, his protective nature toward Jean, and his willingness to challenge even Xavier when necessary. Still, many fans felt that even these later portrayals never truly captured Cyclops' full arc. The tactician, the moral compass, the man who carries the weight of mutant kind's future on his shoulders. Across all his film appearances, Cyclops has remained consistent in one way. He's the one who thinks before acting, the one who puts the mission above ego, and the one who often sacrifices recognition to keep everyone else safe. And yet he's rarely the focus dot. For a character so essential to the X-Men's foundation, his cinematic legacy is still waiting for its defining moment. With the X-Men set to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, fans are hoping for a fresh start. A version of Cyclops that does justice to everything the comics have shown us. A leader not just in title, but in spirit. A character molded by tragedy, defined by love, and unshaken in his commitment to a dream of coexistence. In the 2024 animated revival of the classic X-Men: The Animated Series, Cyclops steps fully into his leadership role like never before. With Professor Xavier gone and Magneto taking over the school, it's Scott who becomes the team's moral center and tactical lead. He struggles with loss, clashes with Magneto over ideology, and carries the weight of every mission on his shoulders. In this series, Cyclops isn't sidelined, he's essential. He leads the team through devastating betrayals, personal tragedies, and world-ending threats. His relationship with Jean Grey is tested to the limit, and his rivalry with Magneto reaches new emotional depths. But through it all, he never loses sight of what the X-Men stand for: survival, unity, and hope. X-Men 97 finally gives Scott Summers the spotlight fans have long waited for. Not just as the guy with optic blasts, but as the leader who makes the hard calls and the heart that keeps the X-Men together when everything falls apart. Cyclops' legacy isn't built on charm or brute strength. It's built on doing the hard thing, every time. He's the strategist, the commander, the martyr, and the protector. The reason there's still a mutant race to lead isn't because of his powers. It's because of his choices. What if Cyclops had never hit his head in that fall? What kind of leader might he have become if he had full control of his power from the start? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more comic lore. Until next time, comic lovers.